Hi, welcome to Attainable Green. Today I want to share with you a couple of variegated Phalaenopsis. When you think of Phalaenopsis, you usually think of the typical standard classic white phal. It has nice large leaves and a brilliant super tall spike. But after the flowers fade and you're left with just the leaves, it may not be the prettiest thing to look at your collection. So if you want to expand your Phalaenopsis orchid growing collection, you can try some species or other hybrids that have these species and really have some beautiful foliage. There are two types of variegation. There is the natural variegation of these plants that just normally look this way. The second set is a genetic mutation or a induced mutation. You can cause a mutation to happen in a plant, and then from that you can clone the plant so that you can have multiple copies of this variegation. So first off, I want to start off with the natural variegation. So there are several species that have a mottled silver marking on their leaves. And some of the species are Phalaneopsis schilleriana, stuartiana, celebensis, lindenii, and sanderiana. I'm sure there are a couple other ones that I might have missed, but those are probably the main ones that you may see. I think the schilleriana has the most uniform markings throughout the leaves, and the stuartiana kind of has more random patterning or expression of it. So some areas of the leaf may have no markings, and then some areas will have a lot. Some hybrids of this species may also have the spotted leaf pattern, and the patterning may differ throughout. It could be just as strong and uniform as the schilleriana, or it may be almost to a white silver sheen on top of the leaves. Next is kind of the silver leaf variegation, and you can see this in the Phal deliciosa and I think in a philippinensis and other varieties. This basically means that the leaf overall has kind of this grayish cast to the leaf. It's not a full green leaf, and it doesn't have spotted markings, but the leaf itself is almost a grayish color, and that gives it a nice reflection and sheen to the plant. So those are more of the natural variegations that you may see in a Phalaenopsis species or related hybrids. So next are the variegation that is created from a mutation. And the first one is a picote type, which basically means that the leaf margins have a different color than the inside, which is typically yellow on the outside and green in the center. And this is common in like a Phal Sogovivian or something similar. And each leaf looks a little bit different each time depending on the light variation and temperature. This variegation is either a genetic mutation induced by a chemical or induced by a virus or bacteria during the germination stage. Because of the nature of this mutation, it can't really be passed on easily to the future generations. So in order to propagate this plant, it tends to be cloned. The next kind of variegation is kind of a striped variegation throughout the leaf. Now this is more typical in the Sederia japonica, which has recently been reclassified to Phalaenopsis japonica. So for this species, when the variegation comes through, it tends to be more naturally induced. Now for the Sederia japonica, I don't think they clone them in exactly the same way as they would the Sogovivian, but it has more markings throughout the interior of the leaf and not just restricted to the border or the edge. And that's what makes this particular species so cool. In Japan and in Asia, they really like this Sederia japonica, and they have collected so many different varieties and forms that it's become kind of a collection unto itself. So those are a couple of variegations that I've noticed in Phalaenopsis species. And I think it's really interesting to dive into it because Phalaenopsis are very prevalent. You see them everywhere, and the flowers come in all ranges of colors, but the leaves are not necessarily the most beautiful thing. So if you have to look at the leaves for a good portion of the year, you want them to look pretty and be nice foliage plants. So by having some pattern markings or some interesting variegation makes this plant really desirable. So not only would you have beautiful leaves, but also beautiful flowers. So that's it. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, Attainable Green, to follow along on my orchid journey. I hope you all are doing well, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!